How we doing, Raven fans, Oriole fans, and thank you very much for joining us here with the Ravori Sports Podcast for fans like me. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. You get to go behind the third wall here for a few seconds here. See the background. There we go. Now it's up there the way it's supposed to be. So thank you very much for joining us here. Definitely, we're airing this when we have our usual podcast. We have a guest tonight, so we thank you for always joining us here. Fanatic links are going to be everywhere for Ravori Sports, so definitely every time you get an NFL jersey with Fanatics, Ravens and Orioles especially, you can go ahead, get the link on all of our Ravori Sports podcasts, Twitter, etc. page. Let's get to our special guest here. And this is one of the biggest guys. He's from Philadelphia, from what I understand, but we're going to be polite as Oriole fans or Raven fans because this is the play-by-play man here for the Aberdeen Ironbirds, the single A team. Michael, I know I'm going to mess it up. Michael, say it again, your last name.
Michael Marcantonini.
Marcantonini. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here as well. So thank you very much for joining us as well. You are the announcer of the single A team here. Definitely, it's so cool to actually meet you here in person. Let's talk about the Ironbirds, right? Let's talk about the Ironbirds. So you tell us the objective of a minor league team, because it's weird, right? In one way, you ask a manager, they'll say, well, win games, yeah, but anytime you ask them, they say the objective is to prepare guys to play in the majors. How is that for you every day, watching a team, wanting them to win, but knowing the objective is to actually get them not just to become have a winning baseball team, but to prepare them to be major league players?
Sure, that's a great question. And Charles, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you reaching out to get me on the podcast. So, definitely excited to be here, excited to talk baseball. So, yeah, that's I think really the biggest challenge with minor league baseball is how can an organization and all the individual teams within a big league organization down at the minor league level find ways to win games, but also make sure that their players are progressing on their individual development tracks. And the organizations that find ways to do both are the ones that are most successful at the minor league levels and at the big league level eventually with those core prospects. And the Orioles, I think, have done a pretty good job of that. There's been a lot of winning, not necessarily championships in the minors, but a lot of winning seasons recently. And of course, the big league team, although they're struggling this year, the last couple of years have played really well, especially 2023. But I've talked to our coaching staff in Aberdeen the last few seasons about that, the balance between winning games and also making sure guys are developing. And really, the answers that I've gotten and the vibes that I've picked up really and come to understand is that individual development for these players takes precedence over winning games. Now, there's never going to be a situation where you're not trying to win a baseball game. Like everyone's playing their hardest 100%. You're going to manage a game, make moves to win, but it's not like the players are never going to suffer in certain ways just for winning. Like what I mean that you're not going to have a guy go out there and throw 120 pitches in a game just to get a W. You're going to protect that guy's arm over the win. A guy's not going to, stay in a game if he gets a little bit dinged up on a hit by pitch or something, or diving for a ball in the outfield just because you want that guy in there to help win the game. They're going to come out for precaution. So really that's what takes precedence is individual development and keeping players healthy and progressing throughout their careers. So it's definitely a balance, but I think in the Orioles organization with the Ironbirds, the coaching staff and the players, they're all bought into this, knowing that you take it game by game, and if wins come, great, but everybody developing and moving on to the next level, and the next level after that, and after that is the main thing.
How many guys on average say are not, don't pick apart this team in particular, but you've been covering the team the last couple of years. How many guys on average would you say actually become major league players on average? I kind of have an idea, but tell the audience, like, how many guys you think are Aberdeen Ironbirds that are eventually going to be Baltimore Orioles or wherever they're going to go as a major leaguers at any time?
Yeah, it's tough to say. So I started as the voice of the Ironbirds in August of 2022, late in that season, and this is my third full season calling games for the team. And since I started as the broadcaster, I think there have been 4 or 5 guys from an Ironbirds roster that have made it to the big leagues. Heston Kjerstad, Jackson Holliday, Cade Stroud got up this year, a relief pitcher. A couple other guys that I might be missing, and then Daryl Hernandez, who was traded to the A's, got to the big leagues with the A's. But it's tough because I've been there. This will be. He
was actually with the Orioles for like about 45 seconds too.
So there'll be.
He moved them around good.
Yeah, so there'll be. I mean, you can count on one hand how many guys have gotten to the big leagues since I've been there. So it's not easy, but I think moving forward, like within the next 3 or 4 years, that number is going to jump considerably. And it's not going to be guys that just debut with the Orioles. Some guys will play in the big leagues with other franchises as well. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think probably less than people think. Like if you're talking about like a 30-man roster, maybe between like 5 and 8 guys from any given roster could be big leaguers someday. I know the first playoff team in Aberdeen Ironbirds history was back in 2013 when they were the short season affiliate, a level that doesn't exist anymore. And that team had, I think, 9 future big leaguers on it of all the guys that played at that level that season. So, and that's a lot. So, I mean, right now I can count on one hand how many guys have reached the big leagues during my tenure there. So it shows you how competitive it is to get to the big leagues.
What's it like working with Ryan Grohl as far as a man? He was a college coach at Minnesota. I think it was a couple years ago. Now he's in the minors. What's it like working with him on him as far as the managers go? We see how Buck Britton is moving up the ranks here as far as now he's all the way. He was a lower tier man. Now he's in the majors. What do you think it's going to be like with Ryan Grohl? What's it like working with him as the manager?
I've really enjoyed my time working with Ryan. So I got to know Ryan mainly last season, but he was also with the Ironbirds during the 2022 season as the team's development coach. Met him really quick that year. He came back to the Ironbirds last year as the development coach, and we talked a lot. Every time I did an interview with a player, I usually coordinated times and days with him and made sure we were locked in on communication. And this year he gets the bump up to the manager. It's his first managerial gig, but it's his 6th year in the Orioles organization. So there's a lot of continuity and familiarity there, and he's coached a lot of these guys at times the past couple of years. I think the thing that stands out to me the most about Ryan is that he's an excellent communicator. He knows how to adapt to different players and get the best out of guys. So that's one thing. Communication has always been great between me and him, and I see that between him and his players and his coaches. Another thing is he's going to stand up for his guys and defend his guys. Like when there's a bad call that goes against the Ironbirds, he's going to be either out of that third base coach's box or out of the dugout to go get in one of the umpire's ears and say, hey, like, I think you missed that call. Like, we've got to have that. So those are
pretty animated guy there.
Yeah. I mean, it's under control. He's animated, but he's under control. Like, that's the thing. So he's going to defend his guys. He communicates well, and he has a really interesting background. Like, he didn't play college or pro baseball, but he was on the coaching staff at Minnesota as a student coach. He was also a bullpen catcher and, a graduate assistant there. And he's worked his way up to a field position in professional baseball. So I think he's got a future for sure in pro baseball, like moving forward, whether that means coaching or maybe he moves to a front office role at some point. But I think because he's such a good communicator and he stands up for the guys, that's going to bode well for him moving forward.
I agree. I think the Orioles have a way of moving up a lot of their minor league talent or whatever. You're not just here and just you see what Buck Britton is doing. They're going to move them through the organization if at all possible, and go to a different level, possibly to get a promotion. Let's talk about the two top draft picks from last year. I absolutely love to watch Vance Honeycutt last year at the College Worlds. Last year when I watched him play at college in North Carolina, the athleticism is an A+. I mean, 5 tools. Everybody talks about his swing and miss. Same with Griffo Farrell when I saw him play. A guy really with a lot of tools. He reminds me so much, and I know you probably heard this or thought this yourself, of Dustin Pedroia. Whenever I see him, kind of like that compact swing, but it's got more thunder to it or whatever. But not a leaping out of the start. What's your evaluations of those two guys for sure have the most eyes on them coming out of the start?
Yeah, both are great players. Both had outstanding college careers. Vance Honeycutt is arguably the best player in UNC history for all that he did. And Griffo Farrell, he was the best shortstop in college baseball last year, won the Brooks Wallace Award. So those were 2 big-time draft picks. First off, I mean, both guys are great to be around. I love talking with both of them. They're both really low-key. I'm sure, they're a lot more outgoing and stuff with their teammates and a little bit more animated on the field. But they're pretty low-key, when I do interviews and we talk to them. But they're both studs. Vance and Griff are both struggling in different ways right now. But the toughest jump in the minor leagues is low A to high A. What about that is the reason I'm not 100% sure. But everybody says that's the toughest jump. But once they get going, they're really going to hit their stride. Vance is one of the 2 best defensive outfilders I've ever seen calling games in minor league baseball. Enrique Bradfield Jr.
Absolutely, man. Watching him in North Carolina, man, the ground Vance Honeycutt covers in the field. Not the fanboy too much, but like, man, I was like, goodness gracious, why isn't this guy becoming more of a higher prospect because he was so low? Because watching him play in center and watching Caglione play in center, I didn't see a lot of difference. In terms of that.
Yeah, with Vance though, I mean, he impacts the game in so many ways. Him and Griff, when they're not hitting, they can still win you ball games with what they do defensively and in the bases. But Vance, like I said, him and Enrique Bradfield Jr. are the 2 best defensive outfielders I've ever seen. Vance gets such a good first step on every ball. He's got great closing speed. Takes really efficient routes. And, I mean, anytime a ball is hit in his direction, I say it all the time on the broadcast, he's got a chance to catch it. Even if it looks like a no doubt about it extra base hit off the bat, like I give Vance the benefit of the doubt and say he's going to get close, if not get to it. And then
can't keep that range.
Yeah, he's an excellent base runner, too. He's only been caught stealing 1 time this year. So he continues to impact games. The other night, he beat out an infield hit, stole second, got to third on a wild pitch, and then beat a throw home fielder's choice play, and the Ironbirds scored a big run because of it. So he can do things like that. And then once the bat comes around, once the home runs start falling, he's going to be tough to get out. And then Griffo Farrell, I was just saying it a ton this past homestand that just ended this weekend. Like everything hit in his direction, like good luck if you're the hitter, because he's gonna field it. He makes smart decisions in the field. I think defensively, he's really making a big impact. And then the bat, he's showing some pop. He already has 4 home runs this year, tied for the team lead. He just hit a big go-ahead homer in our latest win. So he's definitely has a flair for the dramatic coming up clutch. And while power might not be part of his game, he's more of a contact high average guy. And he doesn't strike out a lot. He very, very rarely swings and misses. So I think you've got a really high floor player there that, both I think will play in the big league in some capacity because of pretty dominant skill sets.
It just reminds me a lot of Pedroia. There's more pop there than you realize. When he played, he was kind of the same guy because he's not a big guy. Like you kind of think, okay, well, this guy is just going to be a guy to hit it on the ground, line drives, whatever. No, he's got a little more thunder, like Jackson Holiday as well. Kind of the same thing. There's more there than what he doesn't have that menacing, hulking size there.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but yes, we were talking about Griffo Farrell there. Just very impressed with him in Virginia, those 2 guys. Trey Gibson is now in Bowie, right? Correct? He's just moved up a level as well. We're going to talk on the main podcast this week about the Ironbirds. So how cool was it to get you here? We were talking about the Ironbirds this week. I think like there's a lot of good there with him. The minor leagues, Braxton Bragg was there. He moved up as well. I think he grew as well. I'm concerned about the overall pitching depth in the Orioles organization. What are you seeing down there in the minors? Where is there anything there that we don't know about? Is there anything that, man, I'm really impressed by this guy? This guy has a good shot.
Yeah, there are a lot of under the radar pitching prospects in the system. A lot of that has to do with the fact that it's a position player heavy farm system. And at the big league level, most of the core is, young position players. But pitching wise, you mentioned Trey Gibson and Braxton Bragg. I think they have big league futures. I think Michael Ferret, who just came back from an injury on the Ironbirds roster, has a big league future. Those are the three names that really stand out for me. Braxton Bragg was phenomenal in his 3-4 outings with the Ironbirds before he got the bump to Double-A. For him, I mean, he's throwing harder this year. The off-speed stuff has more break on it. He's got a kick change, which is just almost unhittable. Trey Gibson, he's throwing his slider sweeper a lot harder this year. The fastball is pretty electric. And he's got a curveball that he says that's his favorite pitch to throw. Not a lot of guys are throwing devastating curveballs these days. It's more sweepers and sliders. But Trey's got that nasty breaking ball. So he's got a great repertoire. Both those guys got great command. And then Michael Ferret, he's the youngest of the group. He just turned 21 years old a few weeks ago, 1 year of junior college baseball. I mean, this dude was in high school just 2.5 years ago. He's legit. He just battled a back injury, came back from that. But he's another guy who has gained more command this year. He's got a wipeout slider that he calls a death ball. Trey Gibson throws that as well.
What's it called?
It's called a death ball. He learned it at Tread Athletics in North Carolina. It's another buzzword for a pitch nowadays. But he's got that. It's a wipeout pitch. He's got a 4-seam and a 2-seam fastball. But that's a guy who just knows how to attack hitters and knows what he wants to do. I remember doing an interview with him earlier this year. He kind of went through like how he likes to go about attacking hitters and what pitch he likes to throw in what situation. And I mean, for so young, he's got great command of his stuff, and he's just got great baseball knowledge. So I think those three guys are three names to definitely get to know if you're an Orioles fan.
Out of the pick one guy out where, man, you really, and not just this year, but one guy you really enjoyed being around, because you're a lot younger than I am, right? I mean, you're the age of the players that you're talking to, right? A lot of those guys are about your age or a little bit younger. You're not that long out of college. So what's one guy, not revealing anything that happened in a bar setting or anything like that, but a guy like you're really rooting for, a guy like, man, this guy really is a guy that I really enjoy hanging around and really rooting for.
Yeah, one of the guys on this year's team might be my favorite guy to talk to on the Ironbirds roster this year. It's Ryan Stafford. He played his college ball at Cal Poly. He was a finalist for the Buster Posey Award last year, the best catcher in college baseball. He's just such an awesome guy to be around. We instantly hit it off last year when he got up to the Ironbirds for the final week of the season. He's been with us all this year. We talk around the batting cage every day. I mean, he's just one of the most approachable guys, one of the nicest guys. And I'm definitely pulling for him. I was a catcher during my playing career, so I've always got extra love for catchers. I think he's an underrated player because he's not a big guy. He's like 5'8", pretty small. But, he can hit a little bit, and defensively he's got great instincts as a catcher. He's becoming kind of a super utility player. But I love talking to him. I mean, it's not a guy that you always even have to approach and ask like a specific question. Like, he'll come up to me and say, "What's up?" And, we'll start talking about something. And he asks me about what's going on in my life, not just me asking him. So I'm really rooting for that dude because, he's just a fun guy to be around. And then another guy that I'm really rooting for, his name is Kyle Verbitsky. He's a right-handed pitcher in the Orioles organization. He was going to start the year in Double-A, but he was injured. So he's been rehabbing with us the last few weeks on his way back to Double-A.
Heard about him, yeah.
Yeah, I met him back in 2023. When he started the year with the Ironbirds, and he's just one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. Top 2 guy I've ever met in baseball. I tell people that all the time. Just a great guy to root for. He's a fellow Penn State grad, so extra reason to root for him there. But good person. He's been through a lot personally and professionally in his career, and I want to see that dude succeed. So, really, I want to see all the dudes succeed, but those are 2 of my favorite guys with the Ironbirds.
What was it like when you? Well, I'm gonna make this assumption. You met the Ripkins, right? You met Cal Ripken. You met Billy Ripken. Have you had a chance to meet them at all? As far as that goes.
I actually have not met either of them, but I know Cal's son, Ryan Ripken, very well. Ryan and I are good friends. And yeah, he's an awesome dude. We became friends back in 2023. I invited him to join me on a broadcast one night, and we've stayed in touch ever since. But a great dude, and he's been a great friend to me, and definitely always looking out to support what I'm doing. I'm supporting what he's doing. So that connection is pretty cool.
Ryan Ripken's podcast is not nearly what I thought it was when he started. I assumed like this was just going to be all baseball, right? Because of the last name. And he's talked a lot about college basketball. He's talked a lot about the Ravens. He's talked a lot about, So definitely check it out. Ryan Ripken podcast is whatever. Every day it's on, right? Too. Every day I think he's on every day. I mean, all right, thank you very much, sir. So yes, definitely check out the Ryan Ripken show. Definitely go ahead and do that if you haven't done that. Let's talk about you a little bit here. So you are the play-by-play guy of the Ironbirds. It's nothing, I'm sure. Almost seems like it's too obvious a question. Did you want to be a major league announcer at some point? That's almost seems like too simple.
Yeah,
but, 100%. But what else would you like to do with your career? I know, like, you have the podcast, you do mic'd up and all that other stuff, when you have time to do it. But what else is it for you that you're looking to do with your career? Because I'm sure a play-by-play guy keeps you really busy. I'm sure that's about as busy as it gets, especially baseball, which is every day.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely the number one goal, the ultimate goal is to be a big league play-by-play broadcaster. It's been like that for a while. But I appreciate you asking that question because I do have a lot of other goals in addition to that. I think the main two within baseball play-by-play, someday I want to call a World Baseball Classic game and also, work in the World Baseball Classic in some capacity. And I'd also love to call a College World Series game in Omaha someday. Those are two other big goals in addition to getting to the big leagues. And then in addition to that, I love paying it forward and working with aspiring broadcasters, middle school, high school, college kids, and kind of helping them, pursue their passion and figure out what they want to do with their career within broadcasting. So I'd love to, at some point someday, kind of start my own thing where, I don't know if it becomes like kind of like a school type of thing, like like that kind of setting, or maybe like, kind of lessons on my own, but I'd love to continue to pay it forward and help teach sports broadcasting and sports media to kids. So that's definitely a thing, but just giving back to the game in some way. I could see myself, in addition to broadcasting, also finding a way to work within youth baseball to continue to grow the game and get people playing baseball because I'm just a baseball guy in general. Playing it, watching it, broadcasting it, doesn't matter. I want to be involved somehow. So those are big goals that I have. And just looking forward to continuing to have fun in baseball.
It's just a little bit of a surprise. You said a lot there. For me too, College World Series, I think, is probably the coolest event. I was matter of fact, just before I came on with you, I was looking at the teams. It's like, we got some different teams this year than we had in the College World Series. We got Coastal Carolina, got UCLA. You might get Duke, not just the same old Arkansas, Tennessee, Texas A&M, whatever. So we got some different things there. Surprising, like you being a Pennsylvania guy and you being so big on baseball, because that's football country down there, right? That's Philadelphia, especially the Eagles and all that other stuff. So why baseball more than football?
Baseball was just the sport when I was growing up that I just loved the most. Like, it just kind of came up that way. I mean, both my parents are huge baseball fans and have always been involved in baseball in some way, big fans, always, supporting me in my baseball endeavors, whether it was playing growing up, broadcasting, all of that. But I started playing when I was young, T-ball like everybody else does. And then you play Little League and all that. I just fell in love with the game. And I think, once I really started to play seriously and got better at the game and became pretty good, knew I wanted to pursue that and keep playing. But then also finding a love for broadcasting and realizing that's what I wanted to do for my career. It just made my love for baseball grow stronger. And I played catcher throughout my baseball career. And I feel like I just know the game of baseball better because of it. As a catcher, you're involved in every play. I think it's the most important defensive position on the field. You take pitcher out of it, I think catcher is the next most important position. And
I'm going to include pitcher in that.
Okay. I've learned the game more because of
catcher.
it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I just, I love the game. It's not just playing the game. It's not just broadcasting it, but I love learning the game and studying the game and all the ins and outs of it.
This is the question I ask real baseball people all the time. Why don't catchers hit better? Why do you think that is? Why it was a trend for years, like especially at the lower levels when I played Little League and guys played in high school. Who were the best players in that? It was always the shortstop and catcher. And now you're seeing the catching thing kind of trending down in terms of really good catchers, even in the minors, like Blake Mitchell, like the one who was taking last year was really struggling. So why do you think that catchers don't hit more?
Yeah, most of it has to do with just the fact that it's such a grueling position. You take such a beating, knees, back, whatever it is, taking foul tips off the face mask. But you have to be so locked in defensively. These guys have to worry about catching so many different pitchers throughout the season. They've got to worry about so many different scenarios with runners on base, signals, scouting reports for every hitter on a roster. So there's just such a huge responsibility for catchers beyond hitting. In professional baseball, the guy that is catching that night as the starting catcher, doesn't matter where he's hitting in the lineup. He's going to be in the first group of hitters during batting practice to get his hitting out of the way, because then he's got to go to the pitcher catcher meeting and do all that kind of prep work before the game. So that just goes to show you right there that the hitting kind of has to take a back seat in all cases. You got to go find other times to get your extra hitting and do your hitting work, because the defense and the game calling and the receiving and all that means more for that position. So because of all that, it's definitely harder for catchers to just produce at an offensive level that other position players do. So I think you got to take catcher numbers and look at them a little bit differently. But there's also some guys in the big leagues right now and over the years that have really showed out from that position. Buster Posey, a Hall of Famer. Maybe he's an outlier, but he kind of set a bar high for catchers of this era.
Cal Raleigh's not too bad either right now.
Yeah,
Cal
Raleigh's probably the best catcher in baseball right now. JT Real Muto for so many years. So there are guys doing it. It's just really, really hard to maintain everything that a catcher has to do at an elite level.
You mentioned the Phillies. You grew up in Philadelphia. Two of my favorite players, even though I was born an Orioles fan, grew up in Baltimore. Two of my favorite players in all of baseball right now are Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, especially Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber, it's hard not to like Kyle Schwarber in general. What do you think is? Do you think they have a chance to actually win the World Series this year? They've been kind of knocking on the door here the last few years.
I think they have a chance. Things are not going well right now. They've lost 9 out of 10. They've been a very streaky team all season long, but they have a chance because their pitching is elite. Zach Wheeler at the top of the rotation is a perennial Cy Young contender. Ranger Suarez really solid. Jesus Luzardo's been hit around recently, but he's been in Cy Young contention for most of the season. Aaron Nola, if he comes back and figures things out, that's a huge boost. Christopher Sanchez might be a future Cy Young Award winner. They've got Andrew Painter, a top prospect on the way, and Mick Abel, another top prospect, has already pitched a couple games in the big leagues, and he's done well. The offense, I think, will figure it out at some point as long as Harper and Schwarber and Turner and those guys stay healthy. They got to figure out the bullpen. They definitely need help there. But because these guys have played together for so many years, that core has kind of remained intact. They've got the team chemistry. They've got familiarity playing with each other. And it's a lot of veterans who have never won a World Series that know that the end of the line is not too far away. So they know that their window's closing and they'll be hungry for it. But if they can figure some things out with the bullpen, you bring up Andrew Painter and the lineup starts to click a little bit, they do have a shot.
I'm going to ask you this a little bit of a curveball here. should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, I 100% believe Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm a big Pete Rose guy. Just as a baseball fan, like Pete Rose as a player, just learning about him over the years. I just read a book about him throughout the offseason, which covered the good, the bad, and everything in between. And I'm just fascinated by his career and his life and everything that, he went through. A lot of it was self-inflicted, all the issues that happened in his career, the gambling and things like that, running his mouth. But for what he did on the field, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He did gamble on baseball. He bet on baseball. That's the cardinal sin. Don't do it. It's in every clubhouse. I get that. But, I've read about it. It's been confirmed. He never bet on his teams to ever lose. I think that should be taken into account. And I also think it should be taken into account that he never bet on his teams while he was a player. It was just as a manager. It doesn't necessarily make it better. But I think for everything he did on the field, he's the all-time hits leader in baseball history. He's a guy, the way he played the game should be talked about for generations to come. You should teach kids to play the game like he did. And I think, he's a Hall of Fame player. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Pete Rose, right? And I always think this is phenomenal. He's got 4,191 hits, right? If you hit 200 hits is like almost undoable. Like it's not undoable like Ichiro or certain players. But think about it. If you hit 200 hits every year for 20 years, you still haven't got 4,191 hits. That's how many hits like Pete Rose has had. And he always reminds me of Bryce Harper. Like when I see Pete, I see a lot of Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, obviously, with the power numbers isn't the same, but like the same stuff. Pete would just run into people, get the crowd going. Those are my first years of really watching baseball, but watching Pete. So and also, too, I think the other thing is he's passed on. I think a lifetime ban. He's I don't know what we're gaining at this point, having him not longer in there because he's passed on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. Especially with, and Major League Baseball, the way that they are promoting gambling. I mean, there's DraftKings deals everywhere. Every broadcast you turn on, every site click, there's an ad for some type of gambling site and doing a parlay and all that. So, I mean, if you're promoting that, I think you got to let Pete Rose in. Also, the fact that, he's passed on. Like, I wish that he would have gotten in while he was still alive, and that would have been handled a little bit better. But I think, once, he's passed on, I think he's paid his, his dues there. And I think he deserves to be in. But I like that comparison with Bryce Harper. They both play the game incredibly hard. They both, Harper knows the game of baseball arguably better than anybody else that's in the major leagues right now. Like, he's a student of the game. He is so aware of baseball history, how the game is evolving, what's necessary to win. He's very aware of like his role as a player and all that. So it's a cool comparison there. And I think Pete Rose should be in. I think you got to put Shoeless Joe Jackson in too now.
Numbers wise, I think Shoeless Joe, there's an argument to be made. That's fine. I got no problem if they put Shoeless Joe, but I think there's an argument. Pete Rose, I don't think there is an argument.
Right.
There's none. There's absolute none. I mean, just on sheer numbers, he absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame. One other thing I want to talk to you about is broadcasting. Who are guys you look up to in the broadcasting business? Who are guys like you point out? For me, growing up, it was even now, like doing my broadcast. So it's like I think about the answer I used to say was when I went on interviews. Okay, I'm Chris Berman and Bob Costas, right? Bob Costas, Chris Berman's enthusiasm, Bob Costas' knowledge. The real answer was Vince McMahon and JR, right? Because it was kind of the same thing. Vince's enthusiasm and JR's knowledge. So who are guys you look up to in broadcasting, especially being a play-by-play guy, which is the job everybody wants if they get into sports? I mean, who would you say is the guy that you look up to? Not necessarily a play-by-play guy.
Yeah, the two guys that I think are the best baseball play-by-play broadcasters right now are Joe Davis, the TV voice of the Dodgers. He also does Fox Sports, and then Brian Anderson, the voice of the Brewers, and also does Turner Sports. I think those guys are phenomenal. Whenever I'm tuned into a game that they're calling, I'm always taking mental notes, like how they call the game, how they mix in stats and stories and all that different stuff. I think they're phenomenal. And both both have excellent voices, so that helps. But they really command the broadcast and capture the audience and really know how to capture big moments. And it's not always just a signature call or just being loud and animated. Like, it's always under control, and they make really crisp, clean calls and make it exciting. So I think they do a phenomenal job. That's why they get all the big playoff games on TV. It's for a reason. Outside of that, I've always been, growing up a Phillies fan. Harry Callis for so many years, and also
Harry Callis.
Tom McCarthy for a bunch of years, and Scott Fransky on the radio. Those are guys I look up to, and I've had a chance to, listen and watch so many of their games. I pick up different things from them. And then outside of that, I've always been a huge Matt Vasgersian fan. So many years on MLB Network. He did ESPN Sunday Night Baseball for a while. Those guys I look up to. And then kind of the younger generation, I really like Mike Monaco with ESPN. He's kind of like ushered in a new wave of like a younger guy who's doing it at the highest level. And then on a more local level and kind of like from a minor league roots standpoint, Alex Cohen, who just got the call up to work for Marquee Sports and call Cubs games regularly this season for the first time. I think he's fantastic. I think my style is relatively similar to his. And the cool thing there is I've never met him in person, but we connected on Twitter back in 2019. He and I went to rival high schools a bunch of years apart. We didn't overlap in school, but that's how we bonded over Twitter, both being Philly area guys. And he's been a great mentor to me, like from a distance, just messaging back and forth on social media and all that. So I'm really happy for him and what he's doing. And, he gives us minor league broadcasters a lot of hope. Like, you can go through the minors and eventually get that call to the show at a relatively young age.
Yeah, you had more of an answer there than I thought. You read off about like 5-6 days. Harry Callis, man, was just I can hear the voice all the time. That's that LA and Michael Jack Smith. Mm-hmm. It's that guy. Yeah. So it was awesome. Real quick here, let's go to finish up with the Ironbirds. How do you think it ends this year? I know this week they're off this week. So how do you think it ends this year for the Ironbirds? Do you think, and what do you think might come up from Delmarva or DSL Orioles or anything like that you're looking forward to seeing in the coming months?
Oh, it's been a tough year for the Ironbirds for sure. We're towards the bottom of the North Division standings. The team hasn't played well overall, but a lot of that has to do with we've got a lot of young players. They're figuring some things out, working on things. But I think the team's got a chance to get hot here towards the end of the first half, and you get the reset for the second half. So I think we're going to be a really competitive team in the second half, and we might have a shot to get to the playoffs if our guys really start to mesh and guys start to put some things together. So I'm really excited about that because a lot of guys I think are going to get hot at the right time. And then in terms of guys coming up from Delmarva, there are a handful of pitchers down there that I think could contribute on our roster at some point early in the second half, but definitely late in the second half. It's just so tough to know who's going to move and when we'll get guys. But there are a couple guys on that roster that we had in Aberdeen for part of last season that I think could come up and contribute. One of the guys is a right-handed pitcher named Evan Yates. He made his high-A debut for us last year, struck out the side in order his first inning. Started the year to get some more seasoning in Delmarva this year, but I think he'll be a good boost for us moving forward this year. And another guy, we actually just got him from Delmarva. He's a catcher. His name's Cole Ehrman. I played big-time college ball at Cal State Fullerton. So I think once he settles in at the high A level, he can surprise some people and can contribute.
All right. And real quick, how are you enjoying Aberdeen? Real quick. You don't have to always, you don't have to do, but like being from, I can relate to going from, I grew up in Baltimore and I'm living here in Winchester, Virginia. How's it like been for you in Aberdeen?
It's been cool. It's been a great environment to work in. I would not still be the voice of the Ironbirds. I wouldn't have stayed this long if it wasn't a good place to work. He's no longer with the Ironbirds, but the guy who was our GM for my first 2.5 years there, Jack Graham, he's the guy who brought me in and gave me an opportunity. And I'll always be loyal to him and thankful to him for giving me that opportunity. Great guy to work for, always took care of his employees and made sure that everybody was good from, a personal standpoint and not ever looking to overwork somebody, and really made sure he took care of us. So shout out to Jack. But even though he's not with us anymore, he's moved on to a different job elsewhere. It's a great staff to work with. We all get along really well. I've had a great time getting to know all the different players and coaches the last few seasons. And the Aberdeen area in general, it's cool because I'm not too far from the Philly area, about an hour and a half, less than an hour away from Baltimore. So I've been able to make some really cool connections with the big league team, people in the PR department, the broadcasters, and just getting people to know who I am there, which is great for my career. And I've really gotten to know some of the fans in Aberdeen and some of the regulars, and it's been cool connecting with them because they love baseball and also seeing how the community supports the team. So it's been great. And like I said, I wouldn't still be there if I didn't really enjoy my time there.
All right. Well, tell the people where we can find you. Obviously, besides the mic, obviously when you watch the Ironbirds on I want to say MLB.com, but it's the minor league version, right?
Yeah.
You can watch it. Yeah.
So you can follow me and check out my broadcast highlights and my interviews and all that on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I'm at Mic'd Up Sports on all of those platforms. So at MIKED Up Sports. So you can follow me there at Mic'd Up Sports. Check out all my stuff. I'm pushing out a lot of interviews on YouTube with our Ironbirds players and coaches. And then I'm always posting highlight clips on the other social media outlets. And you can also check out my website. Just Google my name or go to michaelmarcantonini.weebly.com to check out a lot of stuff.
All right. Thank you, sir. And thank you very much, Oriole fans, Raven fans. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. And definitely check us out this week on the Ravori Sports Podcast for fans like us. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. Thank you very much for joining us, and you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.